G'day you beautiful people, welcome back to my channel. Today I thought we would have a little look at how Paragon is going. Version 42 has been out for a couple of weeks. Everyone sort of seems like they're settling in a bit. So how is it going? This is pretty much just going to be my opinion. And my reasoning behind making this video is that I want to voice my opinion and I would love to hear your opinion. So make sure you tell me how you feel about anything that I speak about in today's video in the comment section down below. So to start off with, I better just say at first that I love this game. I think Epic do a great job. And I am for the most part happy with version 42. So don't take anything that I'm saying as anything other than constructive criticism, because that's pretty much the worst that it's going to be. So to start off with, there is one thing that came from version 42 that I'm very happy with. It's something that changed and it's something that's going to change back eventually. And that is the diversity of team compositions. I am loving seeing Narbash and Iggy running around once more. I am loving not seeing FaZe every single game. Like, that's all it was since FaZe came out. Just FaZe, 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 FaZe. It got very boring very quick. I'm loving that everything's sort of changed, and you know, all the heroes have been changed. People are trying out heroes that maybe they've never tried before, trying heroes that they used to enjoy but haven't played in ages. That, however, unfortunately, is going to change. You know, once you can already notice that it's happening now. People are sort of getting that competitive mindset back in again, and you're coming across, you know, Kalari, Countess, a couple of tanks, and a good caster. You know, anything to win. But that's just a fact of life. That's just something that's going to happen. People get competitive, which is why I sort of long for ranked mode to come out, because then I could play ranked and just play the heroes that I'm best with and just play the roles that I'm best with, just day in day out on ranked. And then when I feel like making a video or just mucking about on another hero that is not one of those heroes that I would play to be competitive, I can do that in quick match. But that's not a thing yet. So moving on, I suppose the first thing we should talk about that really did change is the attack speed. At first, I felt that it was a silly idea to up attack speeds and lower damage, and I can now see where they were going with that, and I am in no way knowledgeable about just how hard it is to balance heroes, so I may be way off, but I assume that having flat damage scaling across the board, or one-to-one power scaling, and just differing attack speeds kind of seems like it might end up being a little bit wonky as far as just take, for example, carries. The more carries that come out, they're not going to feel so different, I don't feel, because they don't have different damage numbers. They're not like casters. It's fine for casters to all pretty much have like the same damage on their basic attacks and the same attack speed, because it's their abilities that make them what they are. And you could make the argument that carries are sort of along the same lines, that they do have different skill sets, and you know, that's where they shine, but they're damage dealers. They're meant to have good positioning, sit back and just poke the absolute bejesus out of people. So it just seems a little bit weird, but still, like I said, I'm not a developer. I don't know about that, but it is kind of a little bit ridiculous at times. I don't mind so much the way that they've done it, but it just seems like, you know, when you see a carry at 30 minutes and they're just wailing on you a million times a second. It just seems a little bit ridiculous. But I suppose it's not that bad. I know that there are a lot of people that think it's really stupid, so I would like to hear your opinion on that. But next up, cards. I was stupidly looking forward to the new card system and the new cards that were coming out, because I was totally bored of the system that we had, where we were at a point where, you know, you would have a tank or two on your team, and then your casters just built pure damage and some pen, and then your carries were just, you know, X amount of crit chance, somewhere between, I suppose, 64 and 100% crit chance, and then it's min-maxing your attack speed, which you can get from a spreadsheet. It was very, very boring, and I love theory crafting, so that bored the absolute hell out of me, because you can't theory craft when it's just, you know, get the perfect DPS. That was the one thing I was so looking forward to with the new card system, is actually theory crafting, with the knowledge that there was going to be 100 abilities or effects on cards. That sounded like it was going to open up so many doors for theory crafting. Now, to a certain extent, that is correct still, but like I'd said in a previous video, there are over 100 new effects, but you know, they do also include, you know, cards that they're not used after the first 5 to 15 minutes, so they don't really count. We end up in a situation now where, you know, your assassins are just going to build Shadow Dancer, and they're going to ensure that they get the most amount of damage that they can, so they haven't really changed. It's just all about damage plus a bit of Shadow Dancer. You know, Kalaria will be using certain cards, or countesses will be using certain cards. Carries, there is a little bit of difference in amongst the carries, but for the most part it ends up being you know, a Shadow Golem build with some shields, or with Trapper. You know, there's not too many variations in that. There are some notable exceptions, like mid lane Grim as a caster. I think that's brilliant. That's one thing that I really enjoy. It's just, it's shaken things up a little bit, because people can sort of build the way that they want to build, and they can take any sort of hero and go and play them in any role. Like anyone can pretty much jungle now, which is something we'll talk about in a moment. The thing that I have the major problem with the card system now is that it seems like the best way to win is to have a high damage assassin, have a support, a jungler and an offlaner, maybe like a Richter, a Rampage and a Kwong offlane, all just running Godmother Vigilant, all with like 6,000-7,000 health. If you've not experienced either a Kwong or a Rampage or a Richter that are just running Godmother Vigilant, they will steamroll your team that has you know, 2 casters and a carry and a tank and a support. It will just get absolutely steamrolled. You don't even need to have a carry, which just, I know that there are certain situations where you're going to get away with that, but it just kind of seems stupid that we've ended up in a situation where, you know, one card seems to be the best card out of the 100+ new effects. People just go towards 1 or 2 cards. You know, it's Shadow Dancer for Countess. Everything else doesn't really matter as long as it's damage. For tanks, it's just Godmother Vigilant, and that's pretty much it. You could put 2 Rampages up against each other, one with Godmother Vigilant and one with a full build. The Godmother Vigilant will probably win every single time, which just seems stupid, but I could rant on about that forever, so I'll stop there. So let me know what you think about the new cards and the card system down below. Now I know, before I move on, I know that they're going to build on the card system. There's going to be new cards being introduced, and I hope I really hope that they end up being end game cards, not, you know, bring out 20 new cards, 2 of them are end game, you know, half of them are mid game, half of them are cheap early game cards, because that's not going to help the situation that we have. You have the same problem with gems. There's, you know, there's only 3 for every slot. That could potentially change. One thing that does come about with the cards and the gems, and something that I've heard a lot of people talk about, is that it's very, very hard unless you're running sort of, I suppose, death, running things like Sorvok Initiate and a couple of your gems. It's very hard to get ability armor. So it just seems a little bit weird that there's so little ability armor, but I suppose that was what they were going for, and you never know, the next few cards that come out could be very ability armor heavy. But let's get off that and move on to the jungle, because the jungle is a bit of a joke. I'm not saying that anyone can take any hero and be the best jungler there ever was, but you can literally clear jungle with Narbash. You can jungle with a support now. Literally, you take a proper jungler, you go and stand in jungle, and you just stand there and let them hit you, and it's really, really sad. You can get your 3 camps and your green done before the river buff even spawns, which is just pretty sad. So I'm not very happy with the state of the jungle, albeit I have not done too much jungling, so I'm not an absolute expert. If you have been doing a lot of jungling, I would love to hear what you actually think about the jungle. The second last thing that I would like to talk about is match times. I've had one match that was about 50 odd minutes long, nearly an hour long, since 42 came out. The majority of matches seem really, really quick. I am used to sort of 30+ minute matches. Unless there's an absolute steamroll, it's normally 30-minute plus, and that kind of seems long now. I know that Epic had said before Monolith even came out that they were looking into decreasing match times, and they'd never spoke about it again. So going off of things that they've said since Monolith came out, they're not actively trying to shorten match times. But then I don't understand why they've ramped up the amount of minions that spawn over time, because like someone commented in one of my videos, when version 42 came out, I think it was my either my Aurora full gameplay or Narbash full gameplay, I can't remember which one it was, and we took it was a reasonable time, and it was about 26 minutes in, but we took their mid tier 2 and their inhib, I think it was, in the space of 15 seconds, which just seems ridiculous, because we weren't actively stacking up waves before we attacked that. That was just, we just had that many minions that were absolutely decimating the T2 and the inhib with the amount of damage that the carry was doing and a couple of other people were doing, and it's just, I don't know, it just seems a little bit ridiculous. You add in to the fact that there's so many minions spawning and awaken the Emmerich, and that's just it's pretty deadly. You know, matches can just be ended by an offlaner so very easily if everyone's not paying attention, and that's sort of a good thing. That's a strategy that allows offlaners to do their thing. But I am a little bit worried about how short matches are now. I'm not sure how it is across the board. Generally, the matches that I've played seem really, really short, and it's not necessarily that they are short, they just seem really short. I'm not sure if I'm explaining that well enough. They may very well be 30 to 40 minute matches, but they just don't seem like they last very long. So that's pretty much it as far as my opinions of version 42 go. As a whole, I am happy with it. I'm just, you know, I'm a little bit worried, but we are only a couple of weeks in, so we are going to have to let it settle in a little bit more. there is still that old issue of towers need to be stronger. But you know, apart from that, you know, there's not really much else to talk about. There is the economy, not the in-match economy, but the just standard game economy. Rep coins, the amount of rep that you get compared to how much rep it costs to actually do things. I can only imagine how expensive it is to get a tier 1 card to tier 10. I know that it's definitely, I had, when version 42 dropped, I think I had 1.2 million rep, and that went towards ranking up Iggy to rank 11, and I have now just got enough to get Narbash up to rank 11. Fair enough, I have been playing on multiple accounts, so I haven't spread my time across, but it just seems stupidly expensive. I'm not sure that that is the best way to go about things, because it is not something, you know, it's not coins, it's not something that you've made more expensive because you want to profit off of in-game sales. It's an in-game free economy that is very, very, very hard to come by. So I do like that you've given us more things to work towards, but you've made it much harder to actually work towards it, and that's just my opinion, guys. I don't know if everyone's in the same boat. I know a lot of people would have had millions to spend. Apparently there's someone out there that has a level 22, I can't remember who it was, someone told me it was a level 22 Shimby or something, but who knows. So I'd like to hear your opinions about that and everything else that I spoke about in this video. Pretty much just wanted to have a bit of a rant today. Didn't feel well last night, didn't really sleep too much, and didn't feel like playing and bringing my teammates down by my sloppy play, so I thought we'd just sit here and have a chat. But as I said, leave me a comment and let me know what you think about anything that I did speak about, or anything that you just feel is an issue or that you love. I'd like to hear how you're doing with version 42 and what your opinions are. If you enjoyed the video, smash the like button and subscribe for more Paragon content, guys. But with that said, thank you so much for watching. I love your face, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.